Welcome to yet another edition of Youth and the Road to 2018. I'm your host, Lovejoy Mutongwiza, and today on the program I have former Zanu-PF Youth Chair for Mike Central, who is now the President of Zimbabwe Youth Assembly, and he goes by the name about in the political field, and now he's coming back. He's making a comeback. Mr. Tsenegamu, welcome to the program.
No, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. You've been quiet, not so quiet, but you've been doing something. I'm told you've been doing something. Can you tell us more on what you've been doing since you were chucked out of the party of Zanu-PF?
No, that's okay. For me, I first got suspended for 5 years in 2015. Mm-hmm. Though I was not given a chance to defend myself, I was not even given the allegations, no disciplinary hearing, no prohibition order, but I just got suspended for 5 years. Then all this I was beginning to save my 5-year suspension. Mm-hmm. Then I got expelled out of Zanu-PF. Mm-hmm. When I got out of Zanu-PF, I said, no, look, life has to move on.
Yes, you have to move on.
So in May 2015, before I got suspended in December 2015, we had came up with an idea of coming together as young people. Mm-hmm. All this I was still chairman. We formed what we then named Youth Affirmative Action Assembly of Zimbabwe. Right. That was in May 2015, before I got suspended in December 2015. Okay. So the whole idea was try and bring together young people from diverse backgrounds so that at least we could have this opportunity to air out our views freely without interference from political parties. Because remember, when you belong to a political party, there are certain issues which you are not allowed to talk about. There are certain views which you are not allowed to express. So besides myself being a chairman, then I decided to say, no, look, I must reach out to the other young people, whether they are MDC or whichever party, so that at least as a generation we can have this opportunity to discuss our issues as a generation, irrespective of differences politically. So when I got suspended in December 2015, I moved on with the idea at Youth Affirmative Action Assembly of Zimbabwe, YAZ, till I got expelled in 2016. Okay. But when we also got expelled, we tried to come up with a pressure group that was linked to Zanu-PF. Then we called the link group, the group Save Zanu-PF campaign, where we were trying to push issues that had everything to do with the party, trying to highlight to the leadership all the issues that we thought were affecting the party. So we moved for some time with Save Zanu-PF campaign till a period when I decided to say, no, look, I have been expelled out of Zanu-PF. There is no reason for me to continue to associate with Zanu-PF and try to link myself with a party that has said it has got nothing to do with me. Yes. So from Youth Affirmative Action Assembly of Zimbabwe, we organized a convention of young people, which we held at Harare Club, Kona Nelson Mandela and Third, which we dubbed the Zimbabwe We Want Youth Convention. Yes, so at the convention, we agreed as young people to come up with a forum, an inclusive platform where all youths from diverse backgrounds will be accommodated. So we then formed Zimbabwe Youth Assembly, ZIA. So I'm leading Zimbabwe Youth Assembly, which is a platform for young people, those who are below the ages of 40, from different political backgrounds, saying, no, guys, we cannot continue to be tossed around by another generation. We must reach out to each other, try to find each other. We might be having differences, yes, but the moment we continue to perpetuate those differences, we'll be doing it at our own disadvantage. The moment young people continue to fight to death amongst themselves, they will die, leaving the old generation to enjoy the fruits of their sweat, blood, and tears. So for now, I am committed to the cause of the young people, like I have always been. So I am with Zimbabwe Youth Assembly currently.
All right.
Sure.
That's a great CV there. But now I'll come to my question. Since let's just say maybe in the past 2 years, the youth, they've been coming out of their shells, including you and some other comrades. We've been doing some stuff around. Just recently, I was talking to some group, another youth group as well. why are the youth coming out of their shells as we head into 2018? What's causing all this?
For me, I think it is a realization that has come to the youth to say we are no longer the future. We are the current. We cannot continue to subscribe to this notion where elders say you are the future, which future is not coming. How do you say we are the future and we enjoy in the future when there is nothing happening pointing to that today? So it is a realization that has come to the young people to say, if we are not to take any active part in shaping the so-called future, then there will be no future to talk about. So for young people, we have realized that we have to organize ourselves, to mobilize ourselves, and even engage with other young people so that at least we can awaken them from their deep slumber to say, guys, we are not doing anything for the good of ourselves, even for the good of the children whom we have, or even for our grandchildren. So in the same way that our fathers, who are now the war veterans, played their part when they are young people, we have also made that realization as young people to say we must be seen doing something for ourselves. We cannot continue to be crybabies anymore. We have to take part in shaping up the Zimbabwe that we want politically, socially, and economically. So it is a good thing that is happening in terms of awakening of this generation. So I think for anyone who is progressive must be seen encouraging young people to continue in that path.
Now, let's look at the current situation in the country, be it from the political point of view or the social, the economic, right? It seems as if the older generation, the Madalas, they are the ones who are cramping everything. They've got everything in their hands. Do you think there is space for youth to, at least to be there or thereabout?
Yeah, for me, when there are problems, there are opportunities. When there are challenges, there are opportunities. Opportunities can be availed, but also opportunities have to be created. So if Vadara are not ready to give us an opportunity as young people, we have to create that opportunity for ourselves in the same way that they created the opportunity for themselves when they were young people. Smith could not give it to them on a silver platter, so they had to fight it out. They mobilized themselves. They went out to Zambia, Mozambique. They went to Tanzania, as far as China, Russia, in trying to shape up the current Zimbabwe as young people. So for me, the thing is, we don't have to give it to the old people and say, no, please, can you allow us, can you give us this opportunity? Why should we continue to beg them? We have the numbers on our side. Why can't we mobilize ourselves and have that which we want to have as a generation? For me, look, I would say in Shona, nauye kudya kana nauye power kagumbezeke mchando kanenge kari kamwe chete ndeke kubvutirana. So if you relax and think kuti vadhara who say no, guys, come and eat, that will not happen. So we have to fight it out with them on the ground than to wait and say, no, can you please give it to us? They will not do that for us. And from my point of view, as young people, we are no longer victims, but we have become accomplices in this whole thing, because we are the ones who are aiding the whole system to be where it is today. The young people in Zanu-PF, the young people in MDC, the young people in NPP or wherever they are the ones who have chosen to support old people, to move the agenda of old people. I'll give it as an example, like myself. I was in Zanu-PF.
Yes, I was going to come to that.
I was in Zanu-PF where I could, where as young people we could not believe in ourselves. We could continue to say, no, and what would you expect Mugabe to say when you have the likes of Chipanga being our youth leader saying, no, Gushungo, you even rule from the grave. He would then say, no, look, even Baba Pamba, you will be worried to have vana vanodaro vekuti vanokudziva kuti no baba rambai makabata gejo nekuti mukarega kubata gejo tinofane nzara. You see, so you will be seeing for yourself to know I have a crisis pano pamba. So after I've been chucked out of Zanu-PF, we continued to move in agenda evanhu vakuru fronting these factional fights in Zanu-PF, which factional fights have got nothing to do about young people. So for me, I learned and said, no, look, we cannot continue to do this to ourselves. We have to stop this and at least try to move our agenda as young people. Because even if you are to get into any shit, whether you are in MDC, Zanu-PF, whether you're in G40 or Lacoste, these Madaras will not do anything for you. They will say, no, you have to do it by yourself. So as a generation, we also have to be frank with ourselves and wake up from this deep slumber we have been for decades.
All right. I didn't want to dwell much on the youth in succession wars, but I will have to put you on the spot. Don't you think the reason why most of these youths who are involved within the succession fights are benefiting from the same succession wars? Aren't they the same people who are, tingati kutora pane confusion ipapo?
No, I think as far as I know, the only youth who has benefited from the succession fight so far in Zanu-PF is Kudzana Chipanga. Kudzana Chipanga used to live in the ghettos, but now we are told he's now in Helensville. Kudzana Chipanga, before he ascended to the position of Secretary for Youth Affairs, he was not driving the Disco 4, he's driving today. but go to the general youth on the street, the general youth in the party. No one has benefited anything. The majority of the young people are just living on promises to say, if as G40 we are to ascend to power, we'll do this for you. If as Lacoste we are to descend to power, we'll do this for you. So young people are doing everything that they are doing on promises to say, maybe we'll get something out of it when our Madalas ascend to power. But go there, I will ask you to show one youth who has been at the forefront of these factional fights or succession fights, be it in Zanu-PF or in MDC, who has something to his name. If you are going to show me one or two, then I will show you 10 virgin prostitutes. There is none to show.
So are you saying the youth within the factional discourse are blinded by whatever is happening to them, around them?
No, the issue is also as a generation, we have for long subscribed to politics Zevadara, which is full of hate, which is full of and vindictiveness. Politics the cannibalism. The Congo Jganana politics the kupedzana, where you have a young person say ndinokupedza and enjoying those fights, but with nothing to show for their blood, sweat and tears. It is the Madalas who are benefiting. Because I would say, no, look, across the factional divides, be it in Zanu-PF or MDC, you don't have old people at the forefront. You have young people who will be making a lot of noise. The Madalas will be quiet. Why? Because they don't want to be seen at the forefront. Because they don't want to lose their bread. They know where their bread is buttered, whether they are G40 or Lacoste. So it is you who must be at the forefront, doing the backing, doing the fighting, and everything.
Being with the pawns.
Exactly. While they are at the rear, enjoying the spoils of the fight. So you have to continue to fight as young people, but they must enjoy. And you will be told, no, you will enjoy tomorrow. As young people, we have been treated as desperate drunkards who rejoice at a mere sign. So described kuti come back tomorrow and get one beer free. When you come back tomorrow, you will still see that sign at the very same spot saying come back tomorrow and get one beer free.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. So I'll tell you that there is no youth who is benefiting anything out of the whole thing. Why am I saying so? You have the likes of Wikino Chivayo who are getting tenders from Zanu-PF chefs. Show me one youth who have been at the forefront, Zema factional fights, who has got anything, even a single tender, a small tender that he has won. Now we have Vadara, Vagovana Chitaka, from Bedbridge to Chirundu, Varukugadzira Road. Ndiani youth ane tender, Ekugadzira Road, even to supply tarmac. There is none. But youth are there at rallies. At the
My youth interface.
so-called youth interface rallies, you see, but there is no youth aripo pateburo arikujga. So this is the challenge that we have. So some may say you are saying this because you are out of Zanu-PF. Fine, I've learned my lesson, though I've learned it the hard way. So I feel I must share it with young people so that they don't fall into the same pit that Randaka we are in. So this is my challenge to say I must educate other young people so that they can learn from what some of us experienced.
All right. So as we continue the discussion, this is Youth and the Road to 2018. You can come in and share your views on the hashtag ZimVotes18 on our 263 Chat platforms, be it on Facebook or on Twitter. On Twitter, we are at 263 Chat, and then on Facebook is 263 Chat. You can use the hashtag ZimVotes18. Today I've got Godfrey Tsenegamu, a former Zanu-PF chairperson for March Central, who is now heading a youth organization, and he's talking to us about what the youth want and all sorts. Right, Comrade Tsenegamu, let me come to you on the issue of, you're talking about the youth being used, right? Right, what's the impact of those youths being used? These youths are also being used for vote buying, it could be for violence. What then are the repercussions on the future of these youths who are being used?
Yeah, I think the problem, like when you get used by whether it's your party or your faction, is that in the process you will be accumulating enemies. Yeah, you continue to accumulate enemies, be it in your local area, in the community, or even in the nation at large. You will be accumulating enemies, because the moment you come out so open and say, I'm against so and so, I'm for so and so, I'm against so and so, I'm for so and so, you end up having so many doors being closed for you. You can't access some of the opportunities which the very same people whom you'll be fronting for are accessing.
Yeah, that's true.
So if, like, I'll give you an example. When you are in Zanu-PF, you are told that an MDC is a puppet party. so when even you have an MDC guy coming with milk to give you, say, no, I will not take milk from a sellout.
Jeez.
So you it will be comfortable with you to even die, because this milk which is about to save you is coming from MDC. And on the MDC side, when Zanu-PF comes out to say, no, we have got these stands for young people, then they'll say, oh no, they are coming from murderers and rapists, we can't take them. But look, Vadara, whether they are MDC, Zanu-PF, NPP, or People First, they have got deals, economic deals they are doing together. And they would not want you to access the same. I am not supposed to go to Kasukwere's office because Kasukwere is a G40 and supposedly maybe I'm a Lacoste. So when I get to Kasukwere's office, and when some of my comrades in the so-called Lacoste camp see me at Kasukwere's office, then what do they say? No, Tsenegamu is sold out.
Yay.
So no one is allowed to go to VP Mnangagwa office to even access, be it command inputs or even to get assistance like from the Justice Ministry. When you are sitting with the VP Mnangagwa, I said, oh, so and so has sold out. So our environment is polarized. So when we continue as young people to subscribe to this notion of saying this is Zanu-PF, this is MDC, I can't ming with Zanu-PF, I can't ming with MDC or another party, we'll be doing it at our own detriment. It will not help us as a generation. And obviously, the nation will continue to be polarized and the nation cannot progress.
Is this a deliberate attempt by the Madalas, to divide and rule the youth regardless of their political affiliations?
I think, you see, our Madalas have been young people at some point before they got to this age where they are today. They were young people. So they know the power that young people have.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why, even in terms of the organogram in parties, they will tell you that, like in Zanu-PF, the main wing comes first, followed by the Women's League. Then lastly are young people. And at the same time, as a part, they will be claiming Tiribatore Guta Rujinji. And you ask yourselves, Rujinji, the Rupi Zanu-PF, it's young people. but they are at the bottom of everything, you see. So go to MDC, the situation is the same. Go to NPP, the situation is the same. They continue to preach that, no, wait, be patient. Your tomorrow is coming. You enjoy tomorrow. How do we enjoy tomorrow when we are not to live to that tomorrow? Because we are starving today. So I think it is a deliberate plot and a deliberate strategy by Vasharukwa everywhere. So for as long as young people continue to play to politics,
Yes.
and will not enjoy anything. Look, I'm a youth because of my age. But while at least I'm not at home, like now, my kids are not saying youth are up. They are saying Baba are up. You see, but so when I'm at the party, all these vadaras and say, no, my youth, shut up. My youth, shut up. No, I'm not a kid. I'm a family man.
Yes.
My Juru was minister at 25. Commander Chwenga was brigadier general in 1981 at the age of 26. Mnangagwa escaped the hangman's snooze because of his age.
Of his age, yes.
Yeah, and Boda Gezi is a national hero. He died at 37, but before he died, he was a councillor in Mvuri, MP in Mzaraban, youth chairman for Mash Central, chairman for the whole province, Mash Central, governor for Mash Central, MP for Bindura, minister of youth, and national political commissar at 37.
Yes.
So the other problem is we continue to underrate ourselves. We don't know the power that we have as young people, which Vakuru know. So they will continue to keep us in the dark so that we don't know that we have influence, we have power, so that they continue to use us and manipulate us. And my last comment on that is, Vasharukwa have continued to use us. Why? Because we have availed ourselves to them to use us. Imagine Lovejoy, like you want to dig a pit.
Yes.
And there is a shovel, there is a pick by your side, ready to be used. Will you dig that pit using your fingers? No. You take that shovel, you take that pick and use, because
it's easier.
It's easier to use those tools than to use your hands. So because we have availed ourselves to the Madaras, to abusers, so they continue to do so. So you cannot blame Vasharukwa for where we are today. We are also accomplices in the whole thing. We have allowed the Vasharukwa to take us to the position that we are today.
All right. My youth are power. And statistics show that 60% of the voting constituency, my youth. Yeah. Right. Now we're heading to 2018. We've got that constituency, my youth here. How critical is that 60% my youth in the forthcoming 2018 elections?
Yeah, the youth are a critical constituency, which any serious party mustn't ignore, which is why you have seen President Mugabe moving around, meeting young people. Traditionally, he had been meeting war veterans.
Yes.
Yeah, but he has discovered that no, now the power lies with the youth. He has bought into the idea, Professor Jonathan Muye, Generation 40. It is those people who are below the age of 40 who matter in the politics, in shaping up the politics of Zimbabwe, and even at the polls. So Zanu-PF has realized that, which is why it has been dishing out stands. It is why it has arranged interfaces with the president. Though at the interfaces, it is only one way. The young people are not communicating with the leader. It is the leader who is going there and dictating whatever he wants to young people. Always they get T-shirts and everything at the rallies. So, looking at how Zanu-PF is moving, it is a realization that young people are a critical constituency in the coming election. But now the problem is the very same young people who are a critical constituency in shaping up, who are supposed to be shaping up the discourse of national politics, have allowed themselves to be divided, one, on partisan lines, two, on factional lines.
Grounds, yes.
Go to Zanu-PF, there are factions. Go to MDC, there are factions. So go to NPP, there are factions. ZIM-PF, there are factions. Everywhere, there are factions. So it is how young people are not going to be effective in 2018 because we have allowed ourselves to be divided on partisan and factional lines. But also the other problem is, as much as we have the numbers as young people, but there is no interest in young people in taking up the responsibility of changing everything. Because young people will say, okay, fine, if I am to go to vote, what am I going to get? No one is able to explain to them what they are supposed to benefit out of the whole thing. Young people, before independence, got the motivation to go to war because, one, they looked at the national grievances that were there and they got the motivation. They were also told, though it was propaganda, that if we are to win independence, we will be able to go and eat at Monomotaparas,
yes.
which has now been rebranded to be the Lagos Monomotapa. So when they were at war, they had this imagination of themselves using forks and knives at the then Monomotaparas. So they got motivated. So the question is, what is it that is motivating young people today to take part? One, the major political players have failed to provide an alternative to young people. We have been told, no, machanks are ajiwe, fine. We know we want meat, but there's no meat. So young people then have this thing of just continuing to eat machanks because there is no meat. So those who are saying machanks are ajiwe must also be able to provide an alternative and say, in place of this, we have one, two, three.
Yes.
Which alternative must also be including the young people themselves to say, this is what is there for you on the table. Because look, you cannot continue to tell us one kuti takarwa hondo. So what? Fine, we thank you, you fought the war. And here we are today. But we have critical issues affecting our generation. Which issues must be addressed? So who is going to address those issues? Are the opposition parties in a position to provide that lucrative deal to the young people? I'm not sure if they are going to. So now, it is up to the major political players to tap into the potential of this critical constituency. And how do they do that? They have to engage young people. I've seen so many political parties sprouting up. It's commendable. That's the essence of multi-party democracy. We mustn't have other parties saying, how is so and so coming into the political field and so. Yes. No, you cannot do that. But no, what they must now do is to try and bring together young people, which is what we have also been trying to do as the Zimbabwe Youth Assembly. To say, besides the political differences, besides whether they are factional or partisan differences, can we come together as young people and discuss everything to do about our future and discuss how we can get into the councils and get power, how we can get into parliament and get power. Because it is only when we get into the corridors of power that we can also be able to push our own agendas. Because those whom are continuing to push to get power are detached from the reality of my youth, Arukuma Jecha, my youth, Arukuma Padok, the youths who are in the streets vending, the youths who are pushing scotch carts in Kumamisha or even in the streets. So we must get our own into the corridors of power. And we are waiting to see if there is going to be any serious political party or a political leader who is going to come and engage us seriously, and then we'll start the discussion thereon.
All right. Comrade Tsenegamu, you talk about my youth having interest in taking up my positions. Imimi, if you try to engage, I'm always concerned about the raw constituency. My youth, yes, we can talk about my urbanites. Yes, we know this stuff, we know these things, they go on. But my youth are misha. If you try to engage them, is there, and what has been their response?
Okay, fine. For a start, I was not an urban leader. I was a provincial chairman for Zanu, for my central, which is a rural,
largely rural.
Yeah, largely rural province. So I know how Zanu-PF gets its power. It is because it has got members. It does not rely on sympathizers nor supporters. It relies on members, position holders within its ranks. So having that background, when we came up with the Zimbabwe Youth Assembly, we said we are not going to be a briefcase organization. Our aim is to be a national youth movement with grassroots structures. So in line with that, we have an interim structure, a national interim structure, where I am the president currently. We went to my central and came up with an interim provincial executive. We went to Marsh West, did the same, to Marsh East and Harare. But because of resources, we have not been able to go to the other 6 provinces. So we are still running around to see if we can get enough resources to reach out to those provinces. And in our structure, we have the national executive, provincial executive, district executive, constituent executive, and a ward committee. Why are we doing that? Because we believe in having a mass organization where you have everyone being part of it, everyone being on board. So I am against this elitist approach where you have parties being launched at 5-star hotels, where you have parties continuing to have seminars and talk shows at Sapes Trust and at Rainbow Towers, where you will be addressing 100 people and you think you'll be fooling yourselves. Zanu-PF is busy in the rural areas coming up with cells. I'll give you, for example, my central province has got more than 350 political districts, which are not wards. They are political districts, which are political structures below wards. And my central has got around 220 wards, administrative wards. But it has got political districts which are more than the subscribed number of administrative wards. So each political district has got around 1,250 members, each political district. So we are talking about not less than 300,000 position holders for Zanu-PF in my central. And the rest of the parties continue to rely on sympathizers, continue to rely on supporters. We have people who continue to check on the number of views that they have on Facebook. And you think you have a following. And what's that? If anyone is to think of taking power from Zanu-PF, they must get down to the ground, kuma jecha, kuma uskwa, kuma paddock, and engage young people who are there. Because I'll tell you, 75% or so of vanhu vachavota vari kumisha. How many are on WhatsApp? How many are on Facebook? How many can even access YouTube? Not many. How many can afford to buy bundles, to download a video, or even to go on WhatsApp or anything? Not many.
All right, fine. So heading into 2018, we've got my youth, and then we've got the other older population. But let's dwell on the youth, the rural and urban youth. Does this make it what's the word? Let me just say good. Pa 2018 my youth ndo aneyeseri kuma elections, my rural youth ndo akabata iri kuti anodecide kuti who is going to tora chinhu.
Yeah, for me, which is why you have seen Zanu-PF concentrating on the rural areas. It is a realization that it is only when you have a monopoly in the rural constituencies that you can be able to get power in 2018. So whether you get hold of women in the rural constituencies or young people in the rural constituencies, it is only when that's when you can even entertain a dream of getting power. But if people continue to base their politics in urban areas, I tell you, my brother, it will continue to be a dream. Why? Because the majority of young people in urban areas came to urban areas to look for cash. So anything that they will involve themselves in must be having something to do with cash. Look, we have been having so many activists trying to get to Africa Unity Square, trying to get young people have joined them in the streets. Not many. Why? Because they don't want to be associated with anything that would seem like would disrupt their way of getting money.
Okay, all right.
You see, so they are in Harare, they are in Bulawayo, they are in Mtari to get cash. But those young people in the rural areas, they participate in politics. Why? Because they know that they are, whatever that they do will be determined by who gets into power.
Okay.
Yeah, those young people in the rural areas and those young people in the farms. So it is up to any serious political player to tap into the potential of the rural youth. And these rural youth are so loyal and very faithful. When you agree with them, because I've been one of them, when you engage them, when you talk to them and you agree, when you agree, you must go and rest because you have agreed with them.
All right.
They are different from the urban youths, whom I would want to refer to as flippy floppers. Today they are with RDZ, tomorrow they are with the PDP, the following day they've gone to Zanu-PF, the other day they are with NPP, trying to find where they can get cash. So if I was going to stand as a president, I would commit myself
in
the rural areas and make sure that I get something from there.
So what is it going to take for us to see a paradigm shift from a reliance on the rural constituents, Yema Youth, to an urban population, Yema Youth?
Yeah, I think especially the sprouting up opposition parties must, one, come together for a start.
Okay.
As if they are to entertain any
coalition.
If they are to entertain any chances of getting power. Why? Because look, if they continue to be divided, on the other part, like I was reading today, you have war veterans coming up with their own political party, which I will tell you, if these war veterans are going to be serious, knowing their background, they'll go and get the rural vote. Because traditionally they are the ones who have been at the forefront doing everything for Zanu-PF, whipping Masabuku into line, whipping everyone into line in the rural areas. So these opposition parties, if they are serious, they must consider taking war veterans on board.
Okay, all right.
Because they have been the people who have been at the forefront of doing everything for Zanu-PF.
But these people are also loyal to Zanu-PF. We need to understand that. And then, it's not going to be easy to just tell so and so of it kuti nasi kwa ya RDZ kwa ya MDC saka ndo vari kunza ndo vachatunzira bread and butter ngati
of late, if you have been following it, you would notice that the majority of war veterans are no longer comfortable with what's going on in Zanu-PF. They are frustrated, they feel betrayed.
Isn't it temporary simply because maybe Nyema factional wars?
No, but that's politics. Yeah, but that's politics. So you don't just need to look at the long-term running problems. You also need to look at the temporary issues that have just risen up in any environment and take advantage of that. So you have war veterans who are disgruntled. You have young people who are disgruntled. Yeah? So these young people are the very same people who have also been aiding Zanu-PF in maintaining its grip on the rural areas. National Youth Service graduates, children of war veterans. And I'll tell you, if the war veterans have, like I'm knowing, that they have moved from Zanu-PF, the majority of them, then they will also take with them their children.
All right.
Be they their in-laws or whoever. So
adding numbers as well.
Exactly. So anyone who is serious must also look at taking war veterans on board, taking even those whom they looked at all these years as green bombers. they must lure them to their parties to be part of them. Look, because one, if people continue to say, no, we cannot have these because we view them as murderers, we view them as rapists, so what? Politics is a game of numbers. If Morgan Tsvangirai and Mugabe would dine together from 2009 to 2013, if Mugabe could forgive Ian Smith, what makes it difficult for anyone to accept even someone who was in Zanu-PF? Because you have a common cause. So my submission is, if people continue to rely on the urban vote, I'll tell you, they'll be disappointed so much. They have to get into the rural areas, engage young people, and talk to them nicely. They are good people, they understand. But it is because my opposition no, atingaendi zvanhu zvezanu and you lose.
Great. Okay, this is the program, Youth and the Road to 2018. We are discussing a number of issues as we head to 2018 elections. And remember, you can also keep on using the hashtag ZimVotes18 on our social media platforms. On Twitter, we are at 263chat. You can use that hashtag ZimVotes18. Right, today I've got Comrade Tsenegamu. Tsenegamu, let me talk to you about the emergence of these youth independent candidates. We have got Advocate Fadzima. And then recently, Patson Zamara is coming into the picture. Achitaruda kuita ku iFields kuna psychology. We have got Linda Masari as well. She's coming in. Achita aruda kuita aruda kuita. Is the country ready for youth takeover? Is the country ready for youth leadership? Be it kuma council, be it kuma parliament, be it even ku presidium.
Yeah, I hope, from my point of view, I think the country is ready for that. But can I say ready? Inofana kutoitwa kuti ive ready.
How are we going to do that?
To accept a youth takeover. Because you see, young people bring in fresh ideas, new ideas from wherever they will be coming from. You have been talking about Vanafadzi. Fine, she's an advocate.
You're also included in that because you're also trying to,
Yeah, no, like I was talking about the examples that you had given me. Yeah, you talked about Fadzima here. She's an advocate. You've talked about
Patson
Zamara,
Linda
Masarira, and others. So I wanted to say you had left me out because I declared my interest. I think it was in 2016, yes, I remember.
Yes,
I declared my interest in 2016.
Yes, I was there.
That I'm going to stand as an independent candidate. Look, why I'm standing as an independent candidate? I've for all this time that I was in Zanu-PF, I noted that, look, when you belong to a political party, which has turned itself into a cult,
yes,
then you are expected to play dumb, deaf, blind and foolish. Aufanire kutaridza kuti une zvawaona, aufanire kutaridza kuti aufanire kutaridza kuti uri kufunga, unofanira kufungirwa.
Yes.
Vakuru ngavaone, vakudzi zvokuita. You must be told to jump. Instead of asking why, you must ask how high.
Jeez.
You see. So this is the challenge about belonging to a party which has turned itself into more of a cult than a political institution where diverse views must be tolerated. So I said, no, look, in the same way that I had committed myself to Zanu-PF, thinking that Zanu-PF is a democratic party which would tolerate my views, to say we must have leadership renewal, we must have this and that. In the same way that I volunteered myself to be a youth leader, to champion youth interests, and to fight against be they political, social, and economic ills. I must continue to do that, even if I choose not to belong to any party. So which is why I said I'm going to be an independent candidate.
Yes.
I would want the people who would vote me into power to be the supreme authority over me, not a party. Because when you belong to a party, you are just taught politics of hate, politics of vengeance. To say MDC is a sellout party, so and so are evil, these people can do this, you mustn't associate yourself with these people. I say no. For the first time when I was expelled from Zanu-PF, that's when I knew the real meaning of freedom. I'm free to do anything, say anything, be here. If I was on Zanu-PF, you could not have seen me here. Even if I had wanted it to be, they would say, no, you cannot go to the media. The same applies to the parties who continue to belong to parties where these parties have turned themselves into cows. You are deprived of your rights. Your life, your time, your brains will then belong to that party.
Right.
So this is the problem. So I'm going to stand in 2018 as an independent candidate.
All right.
I had chosen, initially I had chosen Mount Darwin South, but I've got 4 constituencies where I can stand and win. I can stand in Mount Darwin South
Godfrey.
and win. I can stand in Mount Darwin South.
All right.
I can stand in Mount Darwin West. I can stand in Mount Darwin East, and I can stand in Rushinga.
And you're very definite you can win.
I can win.
What makes you think so?
One, this is where I played my politics. I was bred in Rushinga. I played my politics in Rushinga, grew up in Rushinga, being a junior MP there, and did everything in Rushinga. I came to Mount Darwin, that was in 2002. Worked in Mount Darwin Hospital, where I was servicing the whole district because I was an assistant nutritionist there. So I have contacts all over Mount Darwin. And when I started rising in politics, I started rising in politics from Mount Darwin up to the level where I ended up before I got expelled. And at some point in 2013, I stood up in Zanu-PF primaries in Rushinga. I then stood up also in Mount Darwin West to replace my Mjuru, and I won the primaries to replace my Mjuru, but because I had fallen out of favor with Sevia Kasukwere, then they blocked me. But so from this background, I'm telling you, I have all the confidence to win an election, and I know how Zanu-PF mobilizes. I know where Zanu-PF's strength is.
So you're going to beat them at their own game?
Because I've been part of them. There is nothing new that they can do today, which they didn't do when I was with them.
Right,
so there is nothing new.
All right, let's talk about leadership renewal. You are coming from Zanu-PF, where there is a 93-year-old leader. The vice president is close to my 70s, and you've got the hierarchy, the top hierarchy, the my 70s, 80s, 70s, 80s. Right. Would you support a Zanu-PF youth leader? I mean, a Zanu-PF youth takeover? Okay, for me, being a leader of an inclusive youth movement, I am ready to support any young person who rise to the occasion to take power, whether be it in the councils or be it in the House of Assembly. I'm ready, and we are ready as an organization to support young people. So we'll be supporting young people, not just in Zanu-PF, but across the political divide. They be in MDC, People First, ZIM-PF, NPP, RDZ. We are going to support all young people who stand up in 2018 to take up leadership positions. All right, let me put on the spot, Godfrey, before we move on from this point. In Zanu-PF, if there was any young person who was going to replace President Mugabe, who would it be?
Okay, fine. Like taking it from my experiences in Zanu-PF, looking at, you see, the complications in Zanu-PF as an organization. Personally, I had supported the idea of Comrade Mnangagwa taking over. I had not talked to him when I was doing all this. It was my own idea. It must be known that Vice President Mnangagwa didn't send me to lobby support for him. I was doing it on my own because I was looking at how Zanu-PF was moving. So we said, no, look, if only Comrade Mnangagwa can come in, one, to take over party leadership. You will be able, one, to bring together all the people in that party and maybe stand as a party candidate going forward. So that was when I was in Zanu-PF. But no, I'm no longer in Zanu-PF. You see? So if
you're watching from the terraces,
I'm watching from the terrace. I'm not watching from the terraces. I'm a player. I'm no longer watching from the terraces, though I'm no longer playing in the Zanu-PF team.
Okay.
Exactly. I may be juggling the ball on Kunzekwe ground, but I'm making myself ready to get into the pitch.
But still, you haven't answered me.
Yeah.
So if there was a young leader.
My point is, for me, I would support anyone who takes over from Zanu-PF. And because the Zanu-PF party, when I was there, why I was pushing leadership renewal agenda individually, because I saw Zanu-PF as a party sitting on a ticking time bomb. Because when President Mugabe will not be there, I'm telling you, that party is going to explode. Because munenge muine makuru chose. Because look, look, you were a central committee member. I was a central committee member. We were both appointed to be in the political bureau. We were not elected. So you cannot claim that you are a senior to me. Yes. We are at par. In the cabinet, the same. And say, no, you were an MP, I was an MP. You were appointed to be VP, I was appointed to be a minister. So we are the same. So this is the problem that I foresaw in Zanu-PF, which now drove me and motivated me to say, can we push for leadership renewal in Zanu-PF? It was when I was pushing for Comrade Mnangagwa to take over. It was not because I did not believe in the agenda of young people, but I thought there must be gradual takeover and say, let's say VP Mnangagwa comes in for a term or two, then we have someone younger taking over from him.
Maybe Kasukwere.
Anyone who was going to get the mandate from the people.
Okay.
You see, I'll tell you this. I'll take this opportunity to say it out.
Yes.
It was my view that if we were to push in Comrade Mnangagwa to take over from President Mugabe, one, he was not going to harm the interests of the president, because you need to
protect those interests,
even to protect his family. Then he was coming in as a transitional leader.
Yes.
Because look, President Mugabe has been at the helm for some time. So Comrade Mnangagwa, in my view, was going to come in as a transitional leader. Then after him, you then have a younger person. So at some point, I said to Kasukwere, why are you fighting Comrade Mnangagwa? To have this chance of taking over from him.
Life after Mnangagwa.
After Mnangagwa. I suggested to him, say, no, look, why can't you be a career
that's true.
For Mnangagwa? In the same way that Mnangagwa was a career for Mugabe.
Yes.
So when Mnangagwa takes over from Mugabe, you come in as a career for him. You learn from him. You learn the ropes from him.
So that
in the same way that Mnangagwa has been a student for President Mugabe. So you be his student. You learn from him. So when he gets in, I don't think he's going to harm you. Because look, he will be there for 5 or 10 years. So he will not do anything foolish to you, like harming you. Because obviously he knows that he has got interest in a family, which anyone who is coming over to take over from him must take care of.
That's true.
So why can't you sit down with Wadar and no, look, instead of you guys continuing to fight, why can't you sit down and discuss the issue and say, okay, President Mugabe, can you please help us by presiding over this issue? Comrade Mnangagwa comes in, Comrade Mnangagwa, who then comes in. And I said to Kasukwere, no, look, you are not a very bad person to be a leader. Though sometimes you may be overzealous and get drunk with power. But if groomed well, you can be a good leader. Because look, in the MDC, they are grooming Nelson Chamisa, in my view.
Yes.
And when the MDC is going to field Nelson Chamisa, who is Zanu-PF going to field?
Nobody.
There's no one. Mnangagwa is going to be out of the party. And I said, no, look, these guys are being foolish. You also have these guys celebrating that, no, we are going to attack Kasukuer, and they said, no, look, these guys are being foolish. Why are they doing this to themselves? Why can't they sit down and agree on a succession plan and say, after Mnangagwa, so and so comes, he takes over. After this, so and so takes over. So this is the problem that is in Zanu-PF. So I'm telling you, as long as they continue to allow themselves to be divided, no one, either from the Lacoste camp or from the G4 camp, is going to test power. No one.
Nice.
Because they've
the youth and the road to 2018, as we continue to talk with Comrade Godfrey Tsenegamu. Remember to use the hashtag ZimVotes18 on our social media platforms on any election-related issues. Right, Comrade Tsenegamu, I'm coming to you on the issue of voter registration process. We have got the biometric voter registration system that is coming in, and ZEC, amongst other things, they're saying one should produce a proof of residence when when the time for registration comes. Right. Different youth organizations, they've been coming here and then they've been, saying this is not a good thing. This is not cool. Emimi, muno you know saying a proof of residence in relation to my youth.
Okay, fine. I am yet to appreciate why youth organizations have got a difficulty with proof of residence. Because everyone has got somewhere where he resides or she resides. Are we saying we are people of no fixed abode? that maybe we may fail to get this proof of residence. Look, you may not be owning a house, but obviously you have a landlord who will be able to give you an affidavit to say so and so reside at my place. So what's the problem with that?
All right. So on the issue of landlords, some youth, they are saying kuti anogononga ari umunhu weMDC, muyouth weMDC uyu anogara pa landlord wake ndive Zanu-PF. Right. Landlord kuti vape munhu weMDC bepa remvura kuti anoregister kuvhota. Mavhotsi ari kuenda, comrade. Mavhotsi ari kuenda. Saka panogona kuita ka conflict kekuti landlord vanogona kuvharidzira.
No, but let's do it this way. I have not heard. I'm to hear this for the first time.
Okay.
If there is anyone who is to say that.
All right.
Could in the whole constituency or in a whole ward, you have no one whom you relate to who can write an affidavit for you and say you stay at his or her home. I've not seen Zeki saying, okay, let's go to I've not heard them demanding that. So if young people are telling me that they have no relatives, they have no friends who can give them anything which will work as a proof of residence. So I'm not sure where all this fuse is coming from and where all this fuse is all about. Look, do you want Zanu-PF to bus people from Uzumba Maramba Pfumbwe and come and vote in Harare Central constituency? Do you want that?
No, of course not. Of course not.
So what's your problem? So why should people be opening up floodgates for vote rigging? Because it is Zanu-PF which has the capacity to bus people and register people in the wards and constituencies which they do not reside in.
Okay, all right.
They can do that. And opposition parties do not have the capacity to do that. So why are they making all this noise? So I thought it must be the opposition parties who must be saying, let's stick to this requirement, proof of residence, than for them to say and make all this noise to say, let it be scrapped. For what?
All right. My youth, Misha, how do they go about it? This whole proof of residence thing? Since me Mati Muri way vested near Misha.
Fine. One, they may get it kwa sabuku.
Okay.
Two, they may get it come to many.
All right.
You get it. You can even get it pachkoro. From a school, you get it and say, no, so and so reside in this area. So where is the problem? So you see, I'm not sure. Maybe if someone can advise me on how they see Zanu-PF rigging using proof of residence. But in ndotoona sekunge kana pakabviswa proof of residence itori opposition inofana kutochema because ndo vasina capacity yekubhasa vanhu kunovaisa muma-areas avasingagari.
All right. And then there's been also an issue here of voter education. You know, a lot of my youth vari kuti ZEC iri kunonoka kuita voter education. So far, pasati pane voter education. And then there's ZEC, they're coming in, vachiti, hey, we're going to be doing it. And then there's the voter registration process itself. Madam Makarao vari kuti it's going to take 2.5 months. Imimiwo, from Zia point of view, what's your comment on this?
Yeah. Maybe what I've just noted is some of our comrades in the political field have just have a tendency of being crybabies. Frankly.
There we go.
Because look, we are talking of 30 months plus another 30 days plus another 30 days plus another 15 days. Which is around 75 to 80 days. So you tell me that in your area, there is a place where voter registration is taking place, and you don't have a chance to go and register in the 80 or 70 days. If you are serious that you want to exercise your right to vote, you don't have a chance within the 78 days to go and register to vote. You see, we have to be serious sometimes. Even if ZEC was going to say, we'll give you 2 weeks, I will make sure that I will register in the 2 weeks. Because these registration officers are at their registration centers from 8 in the morning up to 4 o'clock. And I'm not sure if this registration takes about 2 hours for a single individual to be registered. I'm not sure. Unless if anyone is to tell me that this BVR system requires 2 hours for a single person to be registered. Even in terms of voter education, why should we wait for ZEC to educate our people on voting?
But now, here's the tricky thing. Time a new system, and none of us is well vested in that system. So isn't it the prerogative of ZEC to come in and educate people on this whole new system?
No, I understand partially I understand where these comrades are coming from. But no, look, these comrades have been part of the preparations with ZEC. They are holding meetings when these BVR kits were being tendered for. They were
there.
Yeah, they were there. Now, they can't tell me that they don't even understand how this whole thing is going to work. Why were they part of it when they don't understand? So as political parties, even as civil society organizations, we have been part of everything. They must now be having a know-how of how this thing is going to be conducted. Why can't they, as the organizations, instead of continuing to hold useless workshops in hotels and seminars in hotels, why can't they go out in the rural areas, in the ghettos, and educate their young people? Zanu-PF is busy as I'm talking, through its structures, educating its people, holding meetings every day. Go to Gurube, they are having meetings every day. And you have political parties which claim to be a major political parties and serious political parties waiting for ZEC to come and do it for them. No, look, you are more like mkomana we anumirira kuti no baba ndizorere mukadzi mukadzi wacho mompa nhumbu moita zvese. And what is your business? What are you doing? You see, so this is the problem that we have. Vanhu ngavadzidze kuti kana hurumende kana vaine zvavari kuziva ngavatakure izvozvo vaende kunodzidzisa vanhu varege kumirira kupfimbirwa musikana nababa uchaguma futi wakuti baba ndipire musikana uyu nhumbu. Hazvishandi. These parties, these CSOs must get to the ground and do the thing by themselves.
All right. Maybe lastly, as we wrap up, Comrade Tsenegamu, as a youth and as one person who represents my CSOs, right? What kind of an election do you want to see in 2018?
Like, maybe just try to be clear with your question.
I mean, in the past, we've had my elections announced, any violence, bloodshed, and rigging. now maybe we want to open a new chapter going into 2018. So emimio sema youth ndezvipi zvamunoda kuona zvichinge zvichiitika heading into 2018.
Okay, fine. Heading into 2018, one, we would want to see more young people taking part and participating. One, by ways of registering to vote and going to vote and defending their vote, whether it's a Zanu-PF vote, MDC vote, or NPP vote.
People just have to vote.
People just have to vote. Two, we want to see a violence-free election. Three, we would want to see young people taking up political offices.
All right.
Yeah, in the 2018 election. Four, I would want to see political leaders having a single rally. I would advocate for that. As young people, and say we are here as young people. Whether it's Mugabe, it's Changrai, it's Maim Juru, or whoever, Ngari Vume, or Babura Nyagomo, come and address. Don't chant your slogans, because we are not going to respond to your slogans. But tell us what you have. As young people, we will not be wearing your regalia or anything. We are just young people gathered here. Can you please come and address us and tell us what you have in store for us? So this is one thing that we'll be advocating for. So if anyone thinks they cannot come and address those rallies, it is them who lose out. But we will try as an organization to organize those platforms to say, councillors, MPs, presidential candidates, come and address young people. Here we are gathered and we are waiting for you. Come and address us. So that young people can decide for themselves who they want to vote for. By doing so, we'll be promoting tolerance amongst the citizens.
That's true. That's true.
Where people will say, okay, fine, it's about ideas. It's not about beating each other up. It's not about burning each other's houses. It's not about killing each other. It's about competing views. It's about competing ideas. So this is what we'll also be trying to do as young people. So we would also want to have an election which is free, fair, and credible. That's our wish as Zanu-PF. And my word to that's my wish as a young person, having a Zanu-PF background.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to say. Having a Zanu-PF background, I would want to see a fair, free, and credible election. And I wanted to say to those who think that maybe Zanu-PF rigs the elections. Yeah.
All right.
Lastly, if you think Zanu-PF rigs are daydreaming.
They don't?
No, I will tell you why I say there is nothing like voter rigging which happens. Maybe if you say there are processes that may favor Zanu-PF against other parties, I may partly agree. But if you say on the day of the election, Zanu-PF rigs the elections, no, they won't rig the election on the day of voting. If you say by denying you access to state media, yes. By denying you access to village heads, to chiefs, to the rural areas, I can agree. By denying you space in the Herald or at the ZBC, I can agree to that. But there is nothing like ballot stuffing. But if you talk of intimidation, fine. If you talk of people, literate people, being forced to confess that they are not able to vote, yes, I can agree to that.
It happens?
But, no, you have people who fake injuries and say, I've been injured, I can't vote. Yes, it happens. It happens. So if your agents are in the polling station saying, we'll see Zanu-PF bringing in ballot papers which
akafutirwa
kare. You will not see that. You will not see that. But fine, if you talk of an uneven play field,
yes.
it's okay. But here it is from me. Apana chinonzi fairness, if we are to say it frankly. Zanu-PF yaka winner my elections in 1980 zvakadaro Yeah? So if anyone wants to win an election, hande ipa ground, tinotaura nevanhu. Muzoriwa had 3 helicopters in 1980. But what did he get? He get 3 helicopters. He get 3 seats, 1 for each helicopter. So whether you have something or you have nothing, but get to the ground, talk to the people. It's about the idea that you are pushing. It's about the cause. Yauri kupusha ineta kuti vanhu va identify newe. Vanhu vakatora magejo amuzoriwa, vakatora mapadza amuzoriwa, vakatora mabhasikoro amuzoriwa, but havana kumuvhotera. So this is it.
Hey.
That's the game.
All right. It's been an interesting discussion with Godfrey Tsenegamu, who is the president of Zimbabwe Youth Alliance. We've been talking, Youth Assembly rather. We've been talking a lot of issues ranging from proof of residence for voter registration. Also talked about succession fights within the parties. Right, so join us in the next edition of Youth and the Road to 2018, and remember to use the hashtag ZimVotes18. That's been the program, and my name is...
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.